Save the King!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Pod Save the King. We have had the King and Queen time travelling for the Commonwealth Games while having a stop off at the Sandringham Flower Show. We've got some behind the scenes footage of Meghan and Harry's recent trip to the UK, followed by an update with Sir Harry's security situation. And of course, Prince George has officially become a teenager. What lies in store for both him and the Prince of Wales? I'm your host, Russell Myers, the royal editor of the Daily Mirror. As ever, I'm joined by Jennifer Newton, fresh from her Greek paradise holiday, looking refreshed and rejuvenated. Now, the royals have gone off on their holidays, so we will, no doubt, we're still catching up with you over the summer. We've got lots of exciting things to bring you in the offering, which we keep mentioning, but I'll be able to give you some more on that potentially next week. But I want to dive straight in to the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. It is the emergence of Glasgow as a host city. It formerly played host to some of the events back in 2014. But what about this? Doctor Who, the King and Queen, Scottish Doctor, which we'll come to in a minute. And I didn't realise Doctor Who was Scottish. I'm not a massive fan, to be honest. I imagine I've watched it once or twice in my lifetime.
Christmas.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to say. Normally, when you sitting down, you've had too much turkey and potatoes. You're tucking in to your 15th box of chocolates, and you're watching Doctor Who with your granny. But I thought this was great. King Charles, Queen Camilla, out of this world entrance for the opening ceremony. They emerged from the Doctor Who TARDIS, which is of course the time traveling machine used in the long-running science fiction TV show. Huge cheers at the Hydro Stadium in Glasgow. Now, here's a bit of trivia for you, which I don't expect you to know because I didn't know it either. I mean, so the TARDIS, obviously we all probably know, based on a police box designed, based on a police box, but designed by the Scottish architect Gilbert Mackenzie. So that is first Scottish reference. Then the Doctor is apparently originally Scottish. He had a degree from the University of Glasgow. Bonus point for telling me how many Scottish doctors there have been. Have a guess.
Quick game. Three.
I think it's four.
Four.
Yeah, I counted four. Somebody who's probably a Doctor Who fan is probably going to tell me I'm wildly wrong. However, this was all part of not only the Commonwealth Games, but the message of sort of sustainability that is running all through the games. We had sort of this garden scene and the King and Queen's TARDIS roaming around all these amazing Scottish landmarks. It raced from Loch Ness, of course, famous for Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster, all the way over Edinburgh Castle, the Kelpies, the Victorian Glenfinnan Viaduct, and then into the Highlands during the Jurassic period and stopping at Balmoral Castle, which of course the King and Queen will be camping to very, very soon, no doubt. And then this sort of, if you haven't seen it, I mean, it's available on YouTube. It's been around the world last night. Then the King and Queen emerged from the TARDIS. It's huge cheers on the stage of the arena. It's going to be happening for the next 10 days, thousands of athletes competing. There's been a bit of dispute about what the sort of Commonwealth Games hold. There's, I think it was 8 British Team GB athletes pulled out yesterday. I'm not too sure if that's come out why. There was a variety of reasons, but I think Usain Bolt previously described it with a bit of a slur, saying it was a bit, bleep, not too great of an occasion. But it is a great occasion for these sort of up and coming athletes to enjoy the big competitions. I know there's been funding problems in the past. Melbourne had to decline it, but hopefully it's got a sort of a long history in front of it, or a long future in front of it, because it does have such great history. And I think getting the King there was a really big bonus. He was speaking, sort of leaning into the green theme, speaking about what reminds him about the Commonwealth, saying that not only is it about celebrating the dedication and the talent of every athlete, but also it has another message. And he was talking about plastic pollution and how it harms our oceans and airways and our impact on human health. A good platform for the King to stand on, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think he tries to use these occasions to put forward this green message quite often. And I also think with the TARDIS kind of entrance, He was actually hamming it up a little bit, did you not think, when he got out and he started kind of like putting his hand to his head, like trying to look out to the crowd, like, oh my God, where have I? I think he's a bit of a showman. Do you not think he's a bit,
No,
he
absolutely. I
he
think
likes to act
he
a part.
still likes the limelight, and you know
Yeah.
what, I mean, I like this message. You know, talking about sustainability, the
Yeah.
environment, caring for our oceans, how we need to come together. He said this extraordinary family of nations, and of course that was what the late Queen always referred to, the growing family of nations throughout her um, time on the throne, throughout her lifetime. And indeed, we of course know Charles's credentials with the environment, but I think you're right. I think he really, really enjoyed it. And why I think this is possibly good news for another member of the royal family is because, as we touched upon last week, the Invictus Games coming to Birmingham. Will Prince Harry want his father there? Could he persuade him to be on stage with him? I don't know. What do you reckon?
Well, I mean, all he has to do is ask, isn't it? I mean, he could do if
He
you tell
tried
him you
that
can
last
have.
time, asking to stay at his place.
Well, that's true, but if he said, you could make an entrance in some sort of, lavish fashion, give him a, you say, you can
You could
have a little,
bungee jump in.
yeah, you can budget, you can skydive in like the Queen did the Olympics, and maybe he'll say yes. But
I mean,
if it would give him a platform to maybe talk about, like you say, the environment at the Invictus Games. I know it's not really linked,
the
but
armed
his
forces, of course.
green, yeah, and being the armed forces and the forces family, and Charles has experience of that, and him being kind of head of the armed forces, then why not?
I think it'd be a great opportunity not only for the king to be at Invictus. It would, I mean, we haven't seen them together for a long time. Could this be the reconciliation that Prince Harry wants? I mean, we'll look into it. I mean, with that is something potentially we can bring you in the future. I know that Harry certainly wants the king to be at the Invictus Games next year, but could he convince him to be on the stage? Will Meghan want to be there? No doubt she will be, because she was supposed to be there for the 1 year countdown. I guess let's wait and see. However, good luck to all the athletes for the Commonwealth Games over the next few days. There'll be no doubt a huge end to it with the closing ceremony at the Hydro Stadium on August the 2nd as well. And it has been a bit of a sort of environmental theme this week for Charles and Camilla. They were also at the Sandringham Flower Show. Charles being pestered by a fly was sort of the videos that caught most people's attention, and Camilla making a face as the carriage was driving off. I mean, this is not only it's normally quite a small event, the Sandringham Flower Show, but this year it was run by the Royal Chelsea, the Chelsea Flower Show organisers. So it's obviously got a lot bigger. I mean, what did we see from this sort of annual pilgrimage to Sandringham?
Yeah, so it's something that they visit every year, but it's the first time that it's been. I think it's was it the Royal Horticultural Society that's
Society, yeah, the
yeah,
RHS.
that's had it within the grounds of Sandringham. So yeah, the King's allowed it to be held on his estate, and they were going around looking at all of the different gardens and flowers. I think there was one kind of garden that looked like it was plants growing out of it, and flowers growing out of a toilet and a sink, which I think the King was quite found quite funny. I mean, it is funny.
Sustainability gone
Yeah,
mad. Yeah.
yeah, is it exactly sustainability gone mad? And they arrived on a horse-drawn carriage as well. And like you say, I think when they left, the horses maybe went off a bit too quick for Camilla, because
Little bit
they
jolty.
kind of like got the jolted backwards. Yeah, a little bit of whiplash. But yeah, I think it's quite a nice event to wind down for the summer for them, isn't it? It's relaxed. It's in their back garden essentially. They don't have to travel very far, and it's just something nice they can all appreciate. And we know Charles likes his garden, Camilla does too. So yeah,
Absolutely.
a nice summer event.
Yeah, you're right. The sort of that we are in the winding down, or we have wound down. With that was Charles and Camilla's last sort of public engagement at the Commonwealth Games but before the summer break. I mean, they will be winging their way up to Balmoral, Birkhall, very, very soon. No doubt inviting several members of the family. It'd be interesting to see whether Fergie and Andrew get a visit this year. I imagine that invitation may have been lost in the post on this occasion, given everything that has gone on. But no doubt the Prince and Princess of Wales will be going up there. Several members of the family all like to go up to Balmoral. I mean, one sort of trip that had been mooted when Harry and Meghan were planning to come over to the UK was whether they would stop off at Sandringham. That would have been a really nice sort of end. I mean, you could imagine Harry and Meghan doing Invictus, that all going well, and then not having to sort of rush over to Highgrove like they did a few days ago, and sort of snatch this audience with the King and Queen. It all seemed a bit rushed in the end. It was right up to the wire. But could that happen next year when they're in Birmingham? They go over to Sandringham, possibly go up to Balmoral. I mean, these are two very, very private estates. I mean, is that something that you reckon they're working towards?
I think so. I think if Harry has said he wants reconciliation, which he has said, and they've had this meeting at Highgrove a few weeks ago, maybe it is sort of baby steps towards a more fuller meeting, maybe an overnight stay at somewhere like Sandringham or Balmoral, but maybe a bit too far in the sense that would they go to Balmoral when all of the family are there, when William and Kate are there? Maybe that's a bit too far at the moment, but the fact that this meeting took place a few weeks ago and we haven't really heard anything about it, that both sides have kept private, which seems to be what they want to do, then who's to say it can't happen in the future?
Yeah, I think that's a key point, actually, that we have heard nothing from this meeting. I think when Harry was messing about, let's say, with his, I don't want to stay at Buckingham Palace, or I do, then the King's aide sort of pulled the rug from under him and said that he couldn't stay at Buckingham Palace. It was all sort of embarrassing. And there was definitely a little briefing war going on for about 24 hours because the Palace aides, I think, were pretty peeved off that Harry had let it go on for so long, that he'd potentially said that they were coming. Well, he'd said that they were coming, potentially trying to force the Home Office's hand into giving him security. That didn't go down too well at the Home Office, and nor did it at Buckingham Palace as well. It was a bit of a mess, and I think he did sort of salvage some face because managed to get that meeting with the King, going to Highgrove, as we've discussed. But what is really interesting is that there was absolutely nothing from either side. The sources were remaining tight-lipped. People who we speak to on several occasions throughout that week were absolutely united, and I think that came from the very top, that this has to be this is baby steps. We want to try and make this work for next year. Perhaps that sort of dream of having the King and Queen at Invictus could be a really big moment for Harry. So this might be a deal breaker. It's possibly sets it up for the future. That is exactly what the royal family want. They don't want Harry to be going off and meeting the King and then giving updates on broadcast interviews about his health and so on. So let's just see what happens. I just want to touch upon this update that we've received over the last few hours, which is the update on Prince Harry's security situation. When Mirror broke the exclusive last week that Harry was still going to pursue this action with the Home Secretary. Of course, just updating you, he has lost case at the High Court, lost a case at the Court of Appeal, and then had written a letter to the Home Secretary requesting, that's probably a bit unfair, requesting a review into his situation. Now, the Times broke a story last night that he is being forced to wait for this decision about his security arrangements in Britain, while officials grapple with protecting an unprecedented 9 former prime ministers at once. I mean, we are on our 7th in a decade. There are normally, I think, looking through the history books, there are normally 5 living prime ministers at any one point. And so what do we have? We have 9 living prime ministers, 7 in the last decade. It's absolutely extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And just this week, Charles welcomed his 4th Prime Minister, and he's not even 4 years into his reign.
Crazy.
With Keir Starmer officially tendering his resignation and Andy Burnham becoming the Prime Minister. So, yeah, you can see...
For this week at least.
For this week at least, yeah. But you can, I suppose you can understand from the Home Office's point of view, once you become Prime Minister, you do get this security for life. And they've got a lot of former Prime Ministers to keep secure, and maybe... given the fact that Harry isn't in the UK all that often, his case has gone to the bottom of the pile, which is maybe unfortunate for him.
Well, very unfortunate. And we've discussed this before about Harry put in the request for the review. He also gave them a report compiled by his private security company that ITV News got hold of from Harry's people that detailed that he was the subject, I think, of 5 terrorist plots. He had been an active target both in the UK and abroad. There's, of course, been threats to his life and Meghan's life. That have been well documented in the past. Now, Harry did this at his own expense. The Home Office, we understand from Harry's side, said that they wanted some extra details. He produced that, no doubt at great expense to himself from his private security company. But he was told that this review would happen in a matter of weeks. Now, this was back in March with the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, which is RAVEC, which is the independent body that decides which public figures should be given armed protection and at what level. However, it has still not taken place by the end of June, which was the latest update. Now, RAVEC are saying that the backlog is due, in part at least, for the need for top-level security for a high number of VIPs, mostly notable politicians. Now, this, of course, follows on the back of the absolutely heinous and tragic murder of a politician in the UK called Anne Widdecombe, a stalwart of the Conservative Party, later moved to the Brexit Party and became a spokesman for the party on the right, Reform, which is headed up by Nigel Farage, which is getting a lot of publicity over the last few years. And not only, as you rightly said, Jen, of former prime ministers automatically granted that right around the clock security for life, but unbelievably, that because of this demand, officials have placed a temporary pause on these risk management board reviews, which really puts Harry in a very, very awkward situation. He had said that he was going to bring Meghan and the children, and 24 hours later, forced to totally change his plans, to a complete U-turn on that, because he was told that he wasn't going to get the security that potentially he thought he was going to get. I mean, we've discussed this the last couple of weeks about how people I'd spoken to in the government had said they believed he was trying to bounce them into a decision. They weren't very happy about that. But you can reading this from the Times, you can fully understand why Harry is pretty miffed about the situation. He's done everything that has been asked of him. He's done everything that has been asked of him, and you can have some sympathy with him, regardless if he's lost a case at the High Court and the Court of Appeal. I mean, it's not on, is it? If he's being asked to present the report, he's been told it's going to happen in weeks, and not only wrecked one trip, according to him, to bring his family here and to have Meghan on stage in Birmingham, but how long is this going to go on for? I mean, he's certainly not going to be given any assurances, is he?
Well, no, I suppose not. But I think this is the whole point of the case, of that, the police and the people who, provide the security, they're so stretched. If they've got to provide protection for 9 former prime ministers, other politicians that might be under threat, that unfortunately for Harry, and I do feel some degree of sympathy for him, but he's just going to have to, unfortunately, maybe wait his turn like everybody else. It's not a priority at the moment if he's not in the country all that often.
Well, it's interesting. I think that, again, so the Times had quoted a source familiar with the process saying Harry's case is not all about Harry. It's about a much wider situation within the police and about the number of former premiers they're now protecting and fewer armed service men and women available. I mean, this is incredible. Again, some further details from this piece saying the fall in the number of firearms officers as well. In 2019, there were 6,621 deployable officers in England and Wales, falling to well under 6,000 in 2026. I mean, this is a case of no doubt budgets and police forces across the country being constrained by the finances that they're being given by the government. But not great news for Harry. I mean, I still reiterate that point of the previous story about how Harry is still going to pursue this. Let's see where he gets to, because the fight is not over, and I'm sure he will be desperate, possibly not to bring Meghan and the children over when he returns in September for the Well Child Awards, but no doubt he will be working towards a big family excursion next year for the Invictus Games. So let's move on. Not talking about summer holidays, we have been given some behind the scenes family snaps, including pictures from the Sussex's trip to the UK. What did we think about this? This has got a lot of people talking online, from beach trips, wholesome family walks, to swimming pool antics. And Meghan has given us a glimpse into their recent holiday, presumably in Portugal and in the UK. Posted onto Instagram her 4.7 million followers with the caption "Summer Holiday," the carousel of 12 pictures, including one taken on the Northamptonshire estate, Althorpe House, run by Harry's uncle and Princess Diana's younger brother, Earl Spencer, where they stayed. But what is potentially controversial about this, Jennifer?
Well, I think it's the fact that Meghan has decided to put that picture out there that was taken at Althorpe. And, we hear about privacy and security, but then to go and put a picture out, and then it's like, well, all right, it's happened after the fact happened. They're not there anymore. But I don't know, to kind of give away where you're going. I think, the next time they come here, it's going to be a given that they're going to go there again, so people know they're going to be there. If they
Yeah,
don't,
I just don't understand it. One of these pictures, Lilibet is seen walking through the famous, and they are famous because these pictures are all over the internet, of the tree-lined gardens, which leads to the place where Princess Diana is buried on this island on the estate. Harry is walking ahead with Archie, and they are both carrying massive, pre-arranged, one must say, bouquets of flowers. Now, this is, I think, a very, very private moment for the family.
yeah.
It is something that Harry has wanted to, no doubt, do bring his children to where his mother is buried. It's no doubt a very emotional time. Listen, who are we to criticize certain decisions? But, we will give our opinion on it anyway. Is this something that the members of the royal family would do? I don't
No.
know. Is it sort of grief tourism in terms of us watching it, not them, in terms of us sort of watching this happen? It just made me. I found it a little unsettling. Is it being done for reasons other than this is a family sharing a very private moment? I'm not sure we needed to see it. Of course, it is absolutely Harry's right, and we know that he's been his wish to take his children to Althorpe to have that sort of emotional pilgrimage. But I just found it a little bit unsettling.
Yeah, I think that picture. I mean, to be fair, I did think that other pictures that Meghan posted were quite sweet, actually. The pictures of them playing on the beach and Harry flipping Lilibet up in the air as they're playing in the swimming pool, because they are like normal family pictures. And to be fair, I know people will criticize them, but William and Kate have given a little bit of an insight into their family holidays recently with those little videos they've released after
Yeah.
the birthdays of their children. So in that respect, it's not too dissimilar. But yeah, I think to take a picture like that and then put it on Instagram, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with
Yeah, I
with
mean,
me
it's
either.
guaranteed publicity, isn't it? It is
It is, yeah.
absolutely guaranteed. Yeah, that's their currency, I suppose. That's what they're in the game. They're in the business of, isn't it? They
Yeah.
need the publicity. They need to stay relevant. It is all, anyone knows, whenever Princess Diana is still discussed 30 years after her death. I mean, it's incredible that she's still so revered and loved throughout the world. And no doubt that family moment for Harry is a talking point. But aside from that, lovely pictures of the holiday. Portugal looked very, very nice.
Yeah.
Must ask them where they holiday. They're absolutely stunning. Much like your jaunt to the sunny Aegean Islands.
Yeah.
Moving on, we've got Prince Harry on James Corden's World Cup show. I mean, God, I don't know if I can stomach much more of James Corden. I thought we got rid of him to the United States. I mean, our US listeners can tell us. Does anyone actually like James Corden? I've heard so many stories of him not being very nice to people in restaurants.
Do you not like Gavin and Stacey?
I do love Gavin and Stacey, but that
Yeah.
was before he was famous. I think he's
Yeah.
probably one of these people that, got a taste of fame, and they just happen all the time. These people come out and say he's been rude to staff at restaurants. I find it quite unsavoury. But what was this all about?
Yeah, so Harry appeared on. So James Corden had a show on Fox Sports in the US, and it was running during the World Cup. It was kind of like an aftermath of the big games, with former England footballer Rio Ferdinand, and he did tease that Harry was going to be on this show a few weeks back. So it was a good few weeks back, and we hadn't seen anything of it. But yeah, finally after the World Cup final on Sunday when Spain beat Argentina, Harry was on the podcast. Well, it's not a podcast; it's actually a TV show with James Corden, and it was fun. But I will admit, I think it went over old ground a little bit because they started talking about, oh, who's the famous Harry again? You know how they talked about it on that Joe Marler
Yeah,
podcast last week, and he
yeah.
kind of had a different answer this time. So they asked him who the most famous Harry was, and they picked the same Harrys: himself, Harry Styles, Harry Kane, and Harry Potter. And he did actually put Harry Styles first this time. I mean, I suppose he couldn't put Kane first anymore because by this time England had gone home.
Crashed
Yeah,
out.
they learned it wasn't.
Harry Styles is probably more popular. Well, he's certainly more popular, but more famous than
I would
Prince
agree.
Harry these days.
Harry put himself. Harry put himself last, which I think it would have been a bit presumptuous to put himself first.
Yeah, imagine if he
However,
said first. Yeah.
yeah. But however, I do think he is probably the most famous, surely,
Yeah.
worldwide.
Harry Styles is probably more popular, and he's done like 10 nights at
Popular.
Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, fair play. Let's. If you're in the US and you managed to cut this, please do let us know if you watched this and you liked it. I wasn't aware that James Corden was still a thing in the US. He's
Yeah,
moved
maybe
to
for
Fox
maybe
now.
just for this World Cup, but
Yeah.
it did kind of remind me of the thing that William's been doing a little bit. You know how he's been, he was on that Travis Kelsey podcast, which was very much focused on football as well. I don't know, and I didn't really think Harry was much of a football fan, so maybe he's kind of saw William's success there and thought
Possibly.
maybe
Yeah,
I could
possibly.
get a piece of this. I don't know.
Well, actually, one of the things I wanted to mention about Andy Burnham, that our new prime minister coming in, which is it's not often where politics and royalty collide, but one of his first announcements this week was he wants to end homelessness. He's going to be giving a load more money to authorities around the country, saying that homelessness should not exist in this day and age. And of course, this is Prince William's mission, isn't it? Because with Homewards, we're in the third year of that project now. It's going from strength to strength. The people working on it have really been lauding the successes of it. Now, we're going to be seeing some more updates when we're back from the summer period in around September, October, as it all ramps up to the autumn tour dates. And I think this is absolutely fascinating. That could we see some collaboration between the prime minister and the future king? I mean, that'd be great, wouldn't it? Because we talk about this quite a lot, about how they have to remain apolitical, but surely that homelessness is a societal issue. You could argue whether it's if there's the political will to stop it, but it is definitely a societal issue. And I think William has been very, very forthright in saying this should not be happening. We need more resources, more finances. If it's not just housing, it's access to drug rehabilitation centres, alcohol abstinence centres as well. We need more mental health nurses in communities as well. We need more access to provision for that support to get people off the streets, and not only on the streets, but access to permanent housing. Because as William has said, any type of homelessness should be rare, brief, and unrepeated. And it's not just people sleeping on the streets. It is people sofa surfing, people living in B&Bs, in hostels, and that is great news, I think, not only for Homewards, that there is political will at the top of the tree, but great that the government are finally taking something like this very, very seriously.
Yeah, definitely. And I also noticed that before it emerged, after Andy Burnham had been to the palace to meet the king to officially be appointed, he came back to Downing Street. Like you say, it was one of the first things he mentioned. It then emerged that he'd been to the Passage earlier that day to
Oh,
help
yes,
serve
yeah.
breakfast. And we all know that Prince William's the patron of the Passage. And they were one of the charities a few weeks ago that got quite a generous donation from Prince William's polo playing cup
Yes.
match a few weeks ago. So yeah, I think that sort of thing. I can't imagine that William. Well, I imagine that William was thrilled to have heard that, even
And
though he doesn't have to get political about it. He would have been really happy to hear that.
yeah, I think that this is something that could be collaborative for the both of them, because we have seen Keir Starmer when he went to Poundbury with the King.
Yeah.
It's not unprecedented. It's something that no doubt Andy Burnham's going to have an awful lot on his plate, but after the summer recess coming back, could it be something that Homewards could look in towards trying to sort of tap in to some of that new financing, and know that they've got some great stakeholders working with them? Could they sort of point the government in the direction of the most need and the most acute services being needed in certain areas in the country? Of course, they are working in 6 areas throughout the UK at the moment, and hopefully that could be expanded with further financing. So best of luck to both of them. Of course, a huge issue which absolutely should not be happening in this day and age. Now, just before we go, we want to wish Prince George a happy birthday. He turned 13 earlier this year. There's been lots of things written and spoken about this week about him being the best prepared future king in history. What can we expect from his future? Is he being sort of given a tentative introduction to royal life? And of course, I think possibly all of those are true. But what I did like this week was when I saw a post from the History Guy on Instagram. That is the TV historian Dan Snow, incredibly much more informed than me on sort of the history of ancient kings and queens. But he gave a long list of possible kings and queens who were a lot better prepared for their duty than George. Most of them had to go to war at some ghastly age, like 12, or had to learn several languages before they were even a teenager to sort of help in the diplomatic relations of ancient England. But I think George enters a very, very interesting time. No doubt, a major factor of that is going to secondary school. I mean, gosh, you wouldn't want to be a teenager in today's world now, would you? You've got sort of social media, camera phones, everybody addicted to their phones, us all included, and the emergence of AI. And we've definitely seen the prevalence of stuff like that on Instagram and TikTok, of these videos that keep popping up of members of the royal family. Oh, yeah, they're absolutely extraordinary. I'm not sure anyone can do anything about it. It's something that we will have to deal with now. But I think George has certainly been given a good grounding into what his future life is like. We have seen him on occasion over the last 12, 18 months. Really impressed me when I saw him at Buckingham Palace at the commemorations for VE Day last year, talking to the veterans, very, very eloquently, very interested, very bright boy. I was really, really impressed by the questions he was asking, how he was engaging with the veterans and their families. And I think that he definitely does have a real appreciation for his future life. And William and Catherine have brought him up not only with that understanding of the traditional element, but really with a great grounding that life is all about family as well. And we've seen this family sort of been dragged from pillar to post over the last couple of years, and they need to be the stabilizing force for the future.
Yeah, and I think it just goes, what they're doing is, practicing what Kate's preaching, really, isn't it? That having a stable family life, a place at home, you can go, it's your sanctuary, you're among your family, you're among your parents, your brothers and sisters, it's people you can trust, they're really tight knit. That if you've got that grounding, then there's nothing, if you want to put your mind to anything, you can achieve it. And I think that's the approach that they're taking with George and their other 2 children as well.
Yeah, I think they are heading on the right track. So happy birthday to Prince George. We'll be talking about his introduction to Eton, no doubt, in a few weeks when he starts. There's still lots to come over the summer period. We're going to be bringing you some interviews with authors. I'm going to be speaking to Simon Vigar, the Channel 5 royal correspondent in the UK. You no doubt be familiar with his work. He has just written a new book, Four Wives of Windsor. Very, very excited to talk to him in the coming weeks. Jennifer will be bringing you some further interviews over the summer period as well. And our big announcement coming soon. I will let you know more on this in the next week. But thank you so much for joining us as ever. You can follow us at PodSave. Of course, all of our work is on Mirror Online. I'm at Russell J. Myers on Instagram and Jennifer Newton 1 on Instagram as well. Thanks for joining us. And until next time.
Pod save the king!